The San Juan Islands are separated from the mainland by several miles of seawater and have been for nearly 8,000 years. So we have a much different mix of animals and plants than nearby parts of Washington State and British Columbia. And one of our most important priorities at Kwiaht is having a clear idea of what lives here in the islands and where it lives. To do these surveys, we are trying to use the best technology available, and we've built arrays in many places on these special lands. Christian Oldham, our herpetologist, is not only great at finding and studying reptiles and amphibians, but is good at information technology, works together with the rest of the team, helps out with research on everything from fish and frogs to bugs.
So sort of the idea with this, it's a drift fence. So what happens is an animal will sort of walk into the fence and either go that way or that way. And if it goes this way and follows the fence along, it'll come to this juncture. And there's a camera under here. And we'll take pictures straight down of anything that moves underneath. So we've got lots of raccoon photos, otter, deer sometimes will stick their heads under there for some reason. Oh, lots of rodents too. Lots of mice and Townsend's voles. We have hundreds of photos of songbirds hopping around down here. We have one series of photos of a fox sticking its head under here. So we'll change some batteries out. We've still got plenty of space on this memory card. This is our acoustic recorder. This is recording the audible spectrum, so frogs, birds, whatever it may be. You can train the software to recognize each unique signature. Once it learns that signature enough, the AI learning algorithm will be able to recognize that signature in new recordings that you take. The software will just process through it and tell you what it's hearing. These are coverboards, these pieces of plywood. So they create sort of an artificial habitat structure for small animals. So things like reptiles, amphibians, small mammals. There's an ant colony. Look at that. Now there's a couple snails too. This is actually a native dung beetle. That's a vole nest. And it did have a half dozen baby voles in it 2 weeks ago.
We have found that in a few cases, rather than having species that don't live anywhere else, we have unusually large numbers of species that are very rare everywhere else. And one example is the sharp-tailed snake.
All right, lucky number 8. Sharp-tailed snake right there.
Rarely seen, very shy, tiny little, beautiful tiny little snake. What we have found is that, in fact, it's extraordinarily abundant in the national park.
See, okay, so here you can see there's that sharp tail that they're named for. You can see it comes to a little bit of a point there, that spine. And you can see they sort of use the tail to hang on.
And this is the kind of thing that confirms the special nature of the islands. A comparison with my own work, Christian's work on the sharp-tailed snake, showing that the snakes are actually quite well off, doing very well in the national park, parallels my work with Townsend's big-eared bats, which are listed in some parts of North America. They're considered a species of concern in our area. They're quite rare in Washington State, and yet we have abundant Townsends here in the San Juan Islands. They do exceptionally well here. Hummel Lake attracted our attention because we had many reports from homeowners around the lake of large numbers of bats flying at night. Since 2014, we've had an automated instrument here, the instrument that's behind me on the tree, that is turning itself on every night and recording the ultrasound generated by bats as they navigate, target insects, eat insects, and chat with each other over the lake. When we record bats on one of these devices, we're just recording to WAV files. But we run it back through a special software package called Kaleidoscope, made by Wildlife Acoustics, and that allows us to slow down what bats are vocalizing by a factor of 8. So we need special software to bring what bats are saying down to our audible range. We hear 9 different species here, and I think at this point we've probably made over 200,000 recordings just to get a sense of the bat community using this one lake and the insect resources that this lake produces. So our approach to all of our work is community. So our first concern is that we involve people in the community in doing the research as volunteer community scientists, and that we share our research with the community so that they know what we're doing and are able to be better citizens, better environmentalists by having the information that we produce. Second priority is sharing with government agencies, sharing with the scientific community to collaborate with the scientific community more broadly. But our first concern is that what we find is information that every islander has access to, appreciates its context and its significance, and that we're available to work with our island neighbors to make the best of the environment that we are living in and have our footsteps on, using the best available science through projects like this.